Members is present that this meeting has been duly called and that its notice has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. And with that, we do have a quorum. Don't believe we have any community input. And our first item is our consent agenda.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. All right, motion on the floor. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. And no opposed. Motion passes 7-0. All right, next up is our information and discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we are going to share end of year goals, and as much as we have right now, I'd like to go back and just a little review. In January of 2022, a team of trustees, district leaders, campus staff, parents, students all came together to develop Vision 2030 on site at NASA, which would culminate in the graduation of students who were then currently in 5th grade. The following year, the trustees participated. We had the open meeting and all trustees participated in the development of the strategic plan, which really gave us that comprehensive Vision 2030 plan, which continues to lead our work, and that's what we will talk about today. And as a reminder of the importance of our work, our original Vision 2030 5th graders that we met with when we created that are going into high school. So it's very important that our community and our future depends on the students and the work that we're developing and developing those critical thinkers and communicators, which is a basics for our strategic plan. So the goals haven't changed. A, academic achievement. B, beyond boundaries. We talk about responsive organizational stewardship and collaboration. And C, that culture of safety and belonging, and really culminating in that culture of excellence. So we will talk about that, and we'll start off. And I think that's not we're going to go back to the beginning, as we do with every single meeting, and talk about the vision as we go through, and always look at our mission, vision, core values, and our purpose. I'm sorry about that. And going back and really thinking and grounding into that mission. And I know we have that. And the vision was created at that strategic planning session, empowering every student with a world-class education that ignites passions and fuels endeavors. And everything we do is grounded in those core values of caring, citizenship, trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, and fairness. Make sure I got them all. Fairness. And really focusing in on our people, our purpose, and our promise. So in all of this work that we do, we continue to always go back to that mission, vision, and the kind of grounding our work. So we also did put in there the, let's see, do I have a clicker? Do you want me to, or can we move? It's not going. There we go. Yeah, we're good. The profile of a learner, and our, those key components, and knowing that that's what our community is asking us to develop in these students, and looking at our strategic plan, that is so key to developing the students that our parents, our families, our community, and our industry leaders need in this area. So we continue to keep that at the forefront. Goal 1, and we talked about, it's kind of in that inverse, that goal 1 is culture, and students and staff will thrive in a secure environment, build connections in community, become resilient leaders. And that the strategy for this year, for the 25-26 school year, improve district-wide systems to ensure a safe environment through a centralized safety vulnerability prevention system. And so we are going to go through each of those little pieces under that strategy, those action items, and talk about the completion or the development according to those. So we're going to start off, and we're going to move that to Mr. Miller.
requires that all of our campuses receive a safety audit once every 3 years. So this will be the end of that cycle. We did utilize the Texas School Safety Center checklist surveys and procedures for all the work we did under this, which started out with facility assessments, going out to every campus, reviewing, using the checklist to make sure that we have accounted for all of the things we needed to account for. Our Safe Schools staff did elementary campuses, and our facilities and facility services staff did all of the secondary schools. And at all campuses, our SROs provided some really valuable insight based on their reviews of those campuses as well. We conducted surveys of campus staff and students. We conducted intruder detection audits at every school, which are much like the TEA intruder detection audits that we experience every year. The required reporting requires that we submit the information to the safety committee, which we did in May of 26 at their meeting. Report the information to the Board of Trustees, which we also did at the May meeting, and we plan to submit that to the School Safety Center this month, which is about 3 months ahead of schedule, the required deadline in September. So this one would be 100% complete. The next one is the bus badging system. As you may recall, the board approved significant funding to upgrade our TransFinder system to the latest with student badging and ridership data, including Stop Finder and many other features that we are utilizing currently. The routing team transferred all and validated all the routes in the spring and summer of 25. We also installed the readers on all the buses and all the necessary equipment to implement this system at that time. And then the phased RFID badge printing was done in 2 phases. We had a batch print, which was virtually every student in the district received a new RFID badge, and then we did the registration in August of 25 for those badges for people that weren't here the previous year. The phased route implementation was basically a quarter of the district. Phase 1, it started in September. All 4 phases were complete by the end of October, and then we provided access to Stop Finder app to all parents in November of 25. So that process and that system has been utilized since then. So that one is complete. Okay. The School Safety Committee had recommended, based on some information we reviewed at that committee, about student safety in secondary restrooms, and to also provide better monitoring at those restrooms. They had recommended that we remove the restroom doors at all secondary schools. So last summer and fall, we removed 121 doors. As part of that, because we removed the doors, we had to relocate mirrors and other things that allowed visibility from the hallway. So we removed 48 mirrors and installed 9 partitions. Unfortunately, League City Fire Marshal came back for Clear Creek Intermediate, required that we put the door back on at all of the restrooms. So we came up with a solution to use holdbacks that would release during a fire alarm. So we installed some pretty heavy duty holdbacks that would allow us to keep those doors open unless there was a fire. And so that was completed in the spring, probably around March is when we completed that. So that one is complete as well. It was because it's the only intermediate without sprinklers. And so fire code required that. It was kind of a gray area when we did the review, but they did come in after the fact and said that we needed to do something different. We did do some research and came up with I think it's 1,000-pound holdback that you can't really get off of there. So now that has resulted in some new data that Franklin is going to run through real quick.
So we shared this with the safety committee last month, and just in regards of terms of the number of discipline offenses that were recorded, you can see that it kind of tapered off there this last year. One thing to take into consideration is that with the doors uninstalled, obviously our administrators and our teachers had greater access to this area. And so, the assumption is that with the doors on the actual restrooms, those numbers in 24, 25, and previously were actually higher. These were just the students, for lack of better words, were caught in the act of either a drug-related offense or a physical conflict in the bathroom. And so also took some qualitative data just from our administrators and teachers, and all were very, very complimentary of the move. Gives them greater accessibility as far as to hear what's going on in those restrooms to ensure that the behavior is appropriate while in there. So we thought we would drop this in here just to share. Again, we shared this with our safety committee last month.
And one of the things that also came up was that the student impression of the safe restrooms has really improved. The number of complaints we have gotten from parents and community members about hearing about their students have fallen. I don't know that I've heard any in the last year and a half. So I think it's had the intended effect, and it's providing students the ability to go to the restroom and feel safe at their school. Okay.
All right, the next thing that we made some progress on this year was our CCISD continuum of district behavior supports. So the idea of this document was really to align and establish a clear system to better support students from tier 1 of what we do for everybody to tier 3, that specialized setting. So as a result of the partnership between several different departments and then working along with campuses to implement some of the tools and resources that we have, we saw some pretty significant decreases in some behavior markers, specifically that disruption to the educational process, which are those big behaviors that disrupt the learning of many students, possibly often resulting in room clears. They take up a lot of time. And then we also saw a big decrease in aggressive and threatening behavior, which would be specific single students that are having aggressive or threatening behavior toward another student unprovoked. So we're really pleased with those numbers. In addition to that, and just growing, we were able to build some clarity and expand and increase our campus supports from the district level that we provided to students, that we provided to staff, and campus behavior teams. So we met this goal this year.
And Mr. Harden is here, but I will say that he and Mr. Perez conducted 2 cybersecurity preparedness exercises with Cabinet, and I don't know, we felt like they were successful. We did learn, and then things came up in the news that kind of mirrored his the scenario, so it was very good. So yeah, so that's complete. Okay, then going on, this is the second part, the second strategy of Goal 1, and then we've just got 2 strategies, and then we have plenty of time too for questions. If I should have mentioned that, but we'll stop after each goal and make sure that we've answered all your questions. But to build connections and community is measured through a culture of excellence matrix, which I don't want to get ahead. It's complete, but I don't want to get ahead of that, so I'm going to turn that over to Dr. Branch.
So that is complete. Thankful for the help of Coney DeHart and Sheridan Henley for creating a quantitative piece for us to actually measure our success and excellence in comparison to districts around us and districts that are like us. And so this has helped us to see what our measures are in the areas of people, purpose, and promise. So looking at retention, salary, and benefits for people, purpose, academic achievement, and accountability, and our promise piece with stewardship, graduation rates, CCMR outcomes. This structured framework will help us to monitor success and inform future decisions and supports for campuses and departments. And as a next step, we're looking at how we can transfer this information to campuses directly in terms of campus actually seeing where they measure in certain areas for people, purpose, and promise, and then to inform some of their decision making and the supports from the secondary and the elementary team as they're working with those campus administrators too.
And this year, we launched our district-wide ambassadorship program. As many of you are very, very familiar with inside CCISD, which has been a long tradition in here in the district, but historically, it's really been external community members getting engaged. And while that continues to be a focus this year, we had a teacher or an employee from every campus and department kind of go alongside our community to learn. And we had 4 sessions, and it went extremely well. We had 81 members, 4 full-day sessions where they got on buses. Elementary teachers went into intermediate schools and high schools and learned terminology that maybe they wouldn't have heard before. And so they found that to be very powerful. And I just added a quote here that I learned about so many advanced opportunities for our students to be successful adults. What a privilege it is to be a part of the CCISD community. We have plans to continue this model next year as well. And then the other one was our online mentor student platform. This was matching students who are interested in internships or independent study mentorships and connecting them with community partners that could help mentor them along. So we have a platform that we implemented this year as a pilot at Clearbrook High School and Clear Horizons. And so we have 125 internship providers already registered in the platform and 250 students that have registered. We've been working with our Chambers of Commerce and the Bay Area Houston Economic Partnership to get this platform more widely known. And so we've been with, we've presented now twice at an industry trades seminar. And so we anticipate that the internship providers will greatly increase to meet the needs of the students.
The next goal has to do with the expansion of Leader in Me, and so we have our 4 campuses from this year that were onboarded. That's Gilmore, Goforth, Hyde, and Mossman. And each of those 4 campuses did complete the year 1 learning targets and were successful for their first year. We also had 2 celebrations. We have 2 new campuses who did achieve their Lighthouse School status, which is that award for implementing all of the structures and systems of Leader in Me at that high level, and that was Bay Elementary and Landau Elementary. And then as far as the financial sustainability model, we were awarded that Kern grant that they did the multi-year grant to go ahead and carry us through Vision 2030. And so they will cover the expense of the continuous onboarding until we reach that goal of all elementary campuses. And then in partnership with the Education Foundation and many community partners, we continue to build support for the financial sustainability of the membership costs that are associated with each campus. Next is that Clear to Lead. This is the system and model for building our own internal leadership pipeline. It is a multi-department initiative. Dr. Lopez and myself from secondary and elementary. We have Dr. Moses representing HR, and then Angela Hinkleman from professional learning under Dr. Stallings, all working together to provide some additional supports for people who are looking to advance in their career internally. And so we offered different sessions in the fall where we asked campus leaderships or cabinet members were present and shared their wisdom internally. Then we also, Dr. Moses offered one to prepare them for the hiring process and getting them ready. And so there's some numbers to show those that were actually promoted this spring. We had 1 principal, 7 assistant principals, 11 dean and campus instructional support people, some district content specialists, and other district leadership roles. So exciting to see that those who are attending are being promoted and taking on leadership roles internally.
So we'll go ahead and just take a stop if there are any questions to anybody that's presented.
I'll open it up. Anybody have any questions or follow-up?
So Mr. Miller, thank you for all the work on the badging, and I've heard so many good comments about parents being able to know where their kids are because they can, I guess, track it, and so that's been wonderful. This is nothing to do with that, but I just had a question. The badges at the end of the year, do they deactivate and then reactivate? Do they bring their badge forth every year, or are we giving new badges? That's a huge cost with 38,000 students. So my mind was wondering that process.
It is. They're asked to bring the badges back. I can't say that it was 100%.
Well, I'm sure they're a lot
There was
down,
a good
but I'm
number
glad.
that return their badges, and then those badges stay active, and they'll be given back to them at registration when they come back, or the first day of school. But there will be another badge print. They're much cheaper if we do it in a batch during the summer. And our technology team, it really is helpful to get that managed and done.
Elementary schools, we've worked with them a lot. They're, I think that you're turning those badges in and then promoting them from within their campus. So we're trying to collect those before they leave, and then the teachers will change hands during the summertime.
Thank you. It just popped into my head, and thank you.
Great question. Jay?
First of all, I wanted to welcome Kelly, Monica, and Michael to y'all's first official meeting. So welcome aboard. I just wanted to mention, when it comes to facilities, I'm glad that we're conducting our own, detection, kind of like TEA does when they come around. It just keeps us sharp and on our toes. Also, kudos to Alex for putting together that heat map of our facilities, which will be important as we go on. And if we look to renovate like we did for Feather and Fork, things like that, just to catch things. My other question, when was the last time we looked at characteristics of a CCISD grad? Because we may need to revisit those and just kind of tweak those as we go on and think about our programs and just some of the things that, our students are doing now compared to back then. So,
and that's a great question. We have not really revisited that for quite a number of years, and we kind of recreated that profile of a learner, which transcended adults as well as students.
Right.
But we probably it's to go back and look at what is that product. So I would say that document does need to be revisited. Mm-hmm.
And then my next question. I know that we get a list of the inside CCISD members. I can't remember when that's put out, probably in our September or October packet. But I just wanted to make sure that continues. So when we do visit campuses, maybe we can interact with some of our internal, customers, so to speak, in order to get their feedback and things that they would like to see. And then the last couple things, Monica, thank you for continuing that Leader in Me work. It's refreshing as we, do our campus walks and see some of the things that are going on within our elementaries, and, especially see our kids as they're leading a lot of our events and leadership roles. They're introducing, they're ushering, they're doing all of those things. It just reminded me of when I went to my granddaughter's pre-K graduation and just, saw how involved the kids were. It was just fantastic. And I think that Kern grant's going to pay off as well. So thank you for continuing that work. And that's all I had.
Thanks, Trustee Cunningham. All right, anyone else? Any other comments, questions? Go ahead.
Mr. Miller, I was just going to ask, I know on the work that you and the team have done around safety, campus safety and facilities, behind the bullets that are listed here, I just wanted to make sure that we didn't miss the chance to highlight the in-depth look that the team is doing, that with help from technology to be able to track when something is reported, when something is not functioning properly, when it's related to condition or the operation of a door, of a sensor, because I think those are things that are critical beyond checking a box that the state expects us to do, that we're doing even significantly more than that from a district perspective, because we recognize that there are dollars associated with that, and there are longer term needs and requests that we will be able to highlight with data. And so I wondered if you could just talk about that briefly.
Well, we definitely worked with Dustin and his team. We have an emergency work order system that actually involves both the Safe and Secure Schools Department and the Maintenance Department. So when somebody submits that work order in School Dude, which is going to now be Brightly, that information also goes to the Safe Schools Department, and Cameron and his team are following up with maintenance to make sure those get completed and closed out. It's also part of our daily door check process that we have set up, that again, we work with technology to get a good system that works at a much cheaper price than we could get one commercially. So we have worked really hard with our technology team, and it's working great. Our campuses provide great feedback and ensure we get those things turned around quickly.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks to you and the team. I think tools that make sense, that are helpful to our users that are needing to report and to document and submit, I think are also helpful to sustaining a culture that is focused on student safety. And I just want to thank you all for doing that. I think that's not necessarily what was reflected here, but I think it reflects the work that we've heard from a safety committee perspective, that I know a lot is going in on a regular basis to make sure that we're hitting the mark on that. So thank you for that. I also do want to extend welcomes. So I know this really isn't technically your first meeting, but maybe with all of us. So really, it's selfish of us to say welcome, but it also is nice to see the team of people behind everything that we talk about. You all are on the front lines, and you're the people that are executing on everything that we're looking at. And so thank you for that. I'm not sure that people think summer would look like this, but this is how we make back to school look the way that it does. And so thank you for all that you're doing every single day.
Well, I'll just add to that. It reminds me of our retreats, because that's kind of our retreats way back in the day. We would have each department kind of report on their year-end wrap-up. So this feels familiar. And, I enjoy it. So I enjoy seeing each and every one of y'all.
Thank Trustee Sanchez for all those kind remarks, and Trustee Cunningham. So ready? Go ahead and move on.
Okay, so goal 2, and that doesn't change. As we said before, each student will engage in world-class learning experiences that foster curiosity, develop talents, guide exploration, and fuel achievement. And the first strategy, improve instructional practices to achieve an 88 or higher score in Domain 1 of the A through F accountability system. Basically, this is our A, academic achievement, and so we are going to spend quite a bit of time. Some of this data is information that you haven't seen. A lot of this is review. We'd like to go back at a semester and make sure that we're updating the board on goals, but this is some new information as well, and I will turn it over to Dr. Stallings.
Thank you, Dr. Engel. The foundation of our work this year to improve our practices is grounded in using and implementing research-based instructional strategies. And you might hear the buzzword bingo, Arby's, and it's not the restaurant, it's actually research-based instructional strategies. We really focused on using those beginning last year, and they have strengthened our academic performance by supporting our teachers with the strategies that have been proven to help students learn on grade level. And we talked about this a bit in December, but also we're going to talk about this afternoon, is the progress we've made as a district and really as a CNI team And improving our practice reflects the dedication of this staff and their commitment to every student's success. And we're going to start, or I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Henley, who's going to lead us in some really good data.
So when we met back in December, we had talked about really making sure that when we implement ARBIES that we find a way to analyze that growth, and specifically in math and RLA and science. And so if you'll remember, we talked about developing district common formative and summative assessments that really help guide that instruction, not only at the district level, but at the campus level and at the teacher level. And so my very talented team of data analysts created different tools that we implemented across to really highlight the cadence of accountability that we've worked on for the last couple of years, where we started at that district level and then we got it down to that campus level, and now we're really kind of reaching into that team level and that teacher level. And so some of those things that we did to really focus on getting that district goal of 88 is creating those campus goal setting documents that highlighted 2 intentional focuses. And you'll talk about meets a suite, right? We're trying to reach that meets level and really focusing on closing those gaps and finding out where they are and to close those performance gaps. And so we created different tools such as our growth matrix, where it can not only track from star to star, but also from star to common teacher assessments, so they can start digging in. We've talked about tracking the performance level indicators over time, not only at the campus level, but at the teacher level and that PLC, and then essential standard trackers, so the teacher can really take the time to focus on the work, the thing that the kid needs the most. And so we developed all of that to really highlight working toward that, measuring our student growth and performance for the district goal of 88. And in doing so, our preliminary STAR data showed some really strong trends. And so I'm going to highlight a little bit with our EOCs. So this is our Algebra 1, Biology, English 1, English 2, and U.S. History. You're going to see that all high schools improved their Algebra 1 EOC, specifically at the meets performance level. So that meets a suite. And then we had 4 out of the 7 that increased the master's performance level, which is very, very good. And then 80%, so 6 of the 7, our high schools improved meets masters in biology. All 10 intermediate campuses now, so we're going to still Algebra 1, but into our EOC, right? They take Algebra 1 and biology. All 10 intermediates increased their biology master's performance, and 70% increased both meets and masters in Algebra 1. So EOC performance across the district trend-wise is increasing, as you see in the slide. When we look at grades 6 through 8, again, we combined here together math and RLA. We don't have science numbers yet, so we don't know where we stand with that. But you see strong growth. We want to highlight and give a shout out to our 6th grade. That was a district campus goal that we worked on to increase 6th grade performance, and every campus increased approaches, meets, and masters. Then we have some RLA growth and approaches, meets, and masters. So overall, we're trending up in our intermediate math and RLA. And last but not least is our elementary math and RLA early performance. We're just holding steady. You'll see some increase in meets by 1%, increase in masters, but we just held. So really looking toward, and then in that, I really want to highlight the work that our campuses have worked through for our EB performance. So our Spanish testers, those for math and RLA increased very high percentages. So that is our update on our preliminary STAR data as it's coming in. So we're getting access. And I'm going to turn it over to Vina to work and talk about our targeted campuses.
Okay, so on this slide, we have our Success Squad campuses, the work we did with them, and those are our target campuses. We had 5 elementary and 4 intermediate campuses that were part of our Success Squad, and the meat of our work was to strengthen Tier 1 instruction, improve student outcomes, and build sustainable systems on these campuses. So the 4 pillars that we worked on were professional learning communities, which is the PLCs worked with the curriculum coordinators in aligning the TEKs, making sure the learning objectives were very clear, lesson internalizations, and teaching at the rigor that was needed. Then assessment support, we made sure that the assessments that were administered were the level of STAR, and also that they were making data-informed decisions for Tier 2 interventions. We supported them with learning walks, giving them immediate feedback, and then any changes that were needed and supporting them to implement those changes. For leadership support, we made sure after every assessment, we first did the needs assessment with the principals, but then later on, after every assessment, we sat with them and worked on the growth metrics, with identifying the students that needed additional support. So providing them with that as well. And like Dr. Stallings and Dr. Henley said, we are working towards that meets a sweet goal. So you will see that on the next slide. For all the elementary math campuses, you can see that we had approaches growth of 4% and meets growth 5% and masters at 2%. So at all performance levels, those 5 elementary campuses increased. Then elementary RLA, the same, again, meets and masters, we see growth. At the intermediate math, we still have a lot of work to do, but we'll continue with the new HQIM and Bluebonnet. We're working towards that. Intermediate RLA, we saw a good 5% increase at the meets level, 4% at approaches, and 4% at masters. So we are headed in the right direction, and we'll continue this work.
All right, this next slide was assessing the impact of our instructional coaching, and this aligned quite nicely with the results of our TASB study that we completed in the fall, because it gave us an opportunity to reimagine instructional support for our campuses and across our district. As a result, we reorganized our structure to create a more streamlined and efficient approach to coaching and our PLCs. This new structure provided clearer expectations, improved collaboration, and allows us to focus our time and resources more effectively K-12. Feedback that we received with data and student performance trends suggests that this revised model will strengthen our PLCs and our instructional practices while increasing our overall efficiency and alignment across the district. And this new model is over on the right side. We now have 27 instructional specialists at the elementary. We have a new dean of instruction at every intermediate, so there are 10 of those. And then at the comprehensive high schools, we already had deans, so we have those deans still remaining, but we also have 2 instructional specialists for every comprehensive high school. So this is our restructuring moving into next year, which saved the district FTEs in the process.
And the final step in this strategy of achieving 88 is providing monitor participation in the TSIA, ACT, and SAT prep interventions to prepare for our TSI. Just a reminder, our TSI is based off of those tests and those tests along with college prep math or college prep English course in preparation for the shift in 2028 of accountability. That Texas College Bridge that we, as well as most districts in the state of Texas, have utilized will go away as an option as far as obtaining that CPE or CPM course. Currently, and Dr. Henley is here, so she can help me if I'm wrong. Currently, that you have to have a partnership with an institution of higher ed, and right now, if I'm not mistaken, there are 0 math and 4 or 5 English. So there's not many options out in the state of Texas for that. So in preparation for that, we really focused on being able to meet our CCMR through just the TSI opportunities there, TSI2, ACT, and SAT exams. You can see from May 25 to May 26, we increased from 37% last year up to 43% this year. And that's due to the work that the deans at the high schools continue to do along with curriculum coordinators and so forth to better prepare our students for these all-important exams that are college entrance. Another added piece of that is just our CCMR. We're super excited about the work that our high schools did there. You can see that it increased from 91.7% of our seniors meeting CCMR up to 94.4% this year. And so, of course, that affects accountability, but more importantly, it truly displays the readiness that we are preparing our kids for after high school. Dr. Lopez here kind of headed up a CCMR committee as, again, we prepare for the 2028 shift in accountability. And so that committee has several people that are in this room, as well as some others that came up with some ideas. One of those ideas was to test our 8th grade students that are in Algebra 1 for TSIA 2. So we tested right over 1,000. Kudos to Dr. Henley and her team for putting that together extremely quickly, like less than a month. They made it work and made it happen. And of those 1,028 students, we had 52% pass and meet TSI. And so Dr. Lopez and her team have created a plan in which to ensure that as our students are going into high school, they have an individualized plan of how they're going to meet CCMR. And so we're happy to say that over 500 of our incoming freshmen next year will already have met half of the CCMR requirement before ever entering high school. So super excited for that and for the results of the continued plan of that work of that team.
And then the second part of that strategy, promote innovation as measured by the creation of multiple new student learning opportunities. And we will start that. I'm going to think I'm on stream. Am I? Yes. I will
So
pass
super
that
excited
over.
of the work that is happening in our intermediates. When we started out with Vision 2030 several years ago, one of the key themes was to elevate the intermediate experience and help them through that. And so happy to report that Space Center Intermediate went through their first year of implementation with a robotics coding program. Also, they did a mini PCR lab with bacteria and slides and things that I have no idea what they are. But I went and watched. Dr. Mackay and her team worked wonders over there. Mr. Donardo, who's the principal at Space Center, made the comment that this is the same kind of lab that he did with his AP bio students when he was a high school teacher. So this is the kind of experiences we are providing for our intermediate students. So super excited about that. And then next year, of course, they'll be entering into their engineering high school course with Project Lead the Way with a group of students. And so kudos again to Dr. Mackay and Casey Bevel, who have worked really hard ensuring that these STREAM opportunities are happening at our intermediates. We spent this year planning with Clear Creek Intermediate and Clear Lake Intermediate and Victory Lakes Intermediate and look forward to the 26-27 implementation of their STREAM. CCI will have a fine arts focus where they'll be implementing and incorporating fine art strategies within the instructional lessons. They have teamed up with the Museum of Fine Arts downtown to have opportunities again for our students to experience that. A lot of our students, especially at CCI, have never had an opportunity to experience a museum, much less the Museum of Fine Arts downtown. And so that's just a great opportunity. They went through some Mind Pop training here at the beginning of the summer. We'll do again here in August as they train teachers on how to incorporate these fine art strategies for our students. And this is coming out of Austin, so kudos to Laura, kudos to Greg Goodman, who really made this work with some people over in Austin, networking and connections there. Clear Lake Intermediate will have an aviation focus, and of course their partner will be Lone Star Flight Museum. They have taken their teachers through the process, and I believe they've taken some students as well on an experiential learning opportunity there. Again, just providing opportunities and experiences for our students. Their high school elective that will not begin next year because the 7th graders will be preparing, but the 8th graders in 27-28 will have the opportunity to take unmanned aircraft systems, which is a drone class through CTE. And so super excited about, again, providing those kids that opportunity to be a part of that, that very unique pathway. And then finally, VLI is, their focus is allied health. And they have teamed up with UTMB, which is in their backyard. So it was a great opportunity for that partnership. UTMB has offered equipment, they've offered funding to help with this. VLI's specialized elective is Principles of Allied Health. It's an 8th grade high school course. They were very optimistic, where the other two wanted to hold off and wait a year and build the program. They jumped right in and offered it immediately to their 8th graders. And so super excited to report they've got 50 students signed up for it. So 2 sections of allied health, and we haven't even began the stream process at Victory Lake. So, and then finally, the library makerspaces. Those lessons, they've just developed those, and they'll be implementing those next year across these campuses, where every campus will have access to that library makerspace and specific lessons that are tied to stream. So again, our students get access and that experience. So needless to say, the stream team has done a fantastic job of implementation. Again, kudos to Dr. McKay, who's head that up as our coordinator of innovation programs. And we are truly looking forward to planning with Bayside and Creekside this year as they prepare their implementation. And again, going back to that Vision 2030 statement, where we're elevating the intermediate experience across our entire district.
Okay, thank you for allowing us to and encouraging us to dream, because it's really been fun. So the college prep program is set to start this fall and is Engineering Beyond Earth. We have 18 students who have registered for this specialized opportunity. And it's a 2-credit course. And so you have to have a room in your schedule to take this. So to have 18 students the first year being able to do that, because they've had to have either Aerospace 1 or Engineering Design to be able to be in this course. So it's really for high-level students. And we have students from Springs, Brook, and Lake. And it's going to be taught at Lake, but you stay at your home campus, or like what we do with CTE, where you travel and you come and take the course. The curriculum has been amazing. So we have the first 9 weeks is the rockets, and then we are partnering with Aldrin Foundation to do their S-Cube satellite program, which was a grant that they received from the Texas Space Commission. So it's fully funded and paid for through the Aldrin Foundation. And then we are working with the WEX Foundation to do the brand new, first ever offered in Texas, construction on the moon and Mars. And if you've paid attention to anything in aerospace, that is where we're moving, and we are right there with them, prepping our kids to do that. So Clear Creek ISD is moving forward. So kudos to Mr. Moses, Elena Polson, Dr. Engel, Christina Ford, like all the people. It was not me. It has been a humongous effort by this team to pull this course off. And then Eva DeCardenas stepped up and gave Dr. Engel and I the chance to go talk to the Aerospace Committee of BAHAP on Thursday, one day last week, 120, and we were sharing our curriculum and saying, hey, sign up to help us. And then they signed up. They're like, well, we want your kids to come to us. And so by opening the doors to them, it's going to open doors to other high school programs that we can make connections with our community partners, which is what you have asked us to do. So thrilled for this class. Sorry, I get super excited.
We move into our P-TECH program that is housed there at Clear Horizons Early College High School. April Tidwell, the principal there, has done a fantastic job of just orchestrating this program. This past year, we completed our first group of students as freshmen. We had 28 students. Again, you have pictures there. They do their bridge camp at the actual HCA nursing training facility. And so they got to go out and really experience and see some things that they'll be doing as juniors and seniors when they get to that level. The exciting part was that when they came back and shared, the staff was jealous. And so they scheduled a time for the staff to go out on a professional learning day. And they got the tour of the training facility as well, and learn how they could provide more opportunities for students within that classroom. This upcoming year, we've got 30 accepted for 2026. You can see there on the slide, we had over 100 apply. So within 1 year, there's still just continued interest in that program. And so we'll continue to create more partnerships with facilities. We'll start our own hosted chapter as a goal for next year for that group of students. And then really working this next year for 27-28 for those junior year clinical and certification classes, where the students actually have moved out of the high school courses. They're now moving into not just college courses, but actual certification programs within that area. So super excited about the work there at the P-TECH and Clear Horizons.
Our next goal was to create opportunities for non-dual credit coursework for the 26-27 school year, and we are very excited about these opportunities we've been able to provide for our students. These opportunities are not only new to CCISD, but to also new pathways for our community college partners. So our work this semester has all been surrounded and centered on professional development and recruitment. So we made sure in partnership with our CTE department that our high school counselors were all trained on what these opportunities are so that we really could support students and parents know about what these opportunities would look like for them. We collaborated very closely with our community college partnerships to kind of re-envision recruitment. We had a couple virtual opportunities that were standalone with the community colleges, and those provided to be especially impactful. And we also integrated them into our dual credit events. We had a coordinated plan with counseling and CTE to really target students who wanted these opportunities to make sure they knew the application process and that they knew what to do. And as we continue to expand and refine our approach to college career and military readiness, these new pathways are really going to allow our students who are really interested in those fields, who that's the career they want to go to, that we're going to help build them into that 4-year plan so that they know what they're going to do their junior and senior year or maybe earlier. And most importantly, our students, our staff, and our departments have worked together to create some new amazing opportunities.
Expand the virtual learning options for high school or for 3rd through 9th graders. And so we've started the Clear Tech program, of course, partnering with Texas Tech K-12. And we are on the way for working through that implementation of that process. We've hired a counselor and a data specialist, and we've been collaborating with Texas Tech to set this up and anticipated training that's coming up. We have had 149 students apply in grades 3 through 9, and 87 have been pre-approved. We've had about 50 accept the application, and we're getting them enrolled with Texas Tech K-12. And then we have 41 that have recently come in the last couple weeks, and we're still processing through those. Our counselor, Cynthia Sines, has set up meetings with each one of those parents and is working through scheduling, and we're working through that process. Kelly Lane and Christina Ford have been integral in creating that and working together just to make sure that we're supporting those families with this virtual opportunity and expanding it and trying to get the word out. So anything you'd like to add, Kelly?
Our Clear Tech counselor, Cynthia Sines, she's done an amazing job. Over the last 2 weeks, we've been offering additional webinars to the parents and families that we have offered seats to. And in those, because with those webinars, we're hearing the questions, we are identifying the why for why many of these parents have selected virtual programs for their students and what that means for them to be successful. And so, and from those, Cynthia sets up the bookings, and she's met with, she'll be meeting with over 40 parents just within 5 days to be able to learn and know them better. So she's doing a phenomenal job, and our program really is going to be a successful one. And one thing, and I do have to highlight this, is that most of the parents who are choosing our Clear Tech virtual program over other virtual programs is because of our CCISD advantage and the partnership that we have with our 3 campuses and what those principles and what that feeling of community means for our students and families, because that's the reason why they're coming to Clear Tech. So it's been a really fun ride and a great opportunity to meet lots of different families, especially some of our homeschool families and families from other virtual programs across the state of Texas who are choosing Clear Tech.
Absolutely. And our principals that are taking on this have been extra prideful at what they have going on their campus and willing to take those students in for the specialty programs that they will be allowed to participate in. So thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, thank y'all. Well, that's a lot to take in right there. Where does one begin? So I'll open it up. Anybody wants to Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was listening to the presentation on this goal, and I was reminded of famous speech President John F. Kennedy gave at Rice University many years ago when he really kicked off the Apollo space program. And the words that stuck with me that came back to me today were when he said, we go to the moon and we do the other things not because they're easy, but because they're hard. And I think I speak for the whole board when I say that we understand that goal 2 is hard. This is the most difficult thing you do. And the accomplishments that we see over the last year are not small. There's a lot that was accomplished here. This district has high standards, and again and again on nearly every page we see these met. And I just want to express my personal appreciation for all that work. I do have two almost very minor questions. The first one was had to do with the intermediate math scores, and I do see some increase there, but I couldn't help but be curious. I know we've heard a lot about Cambridge Analytica over the last year, and I just wanted to kind of ask maybe how much of what we did see there was attributable to that, and whether you believe we will see additional gains as we adopt that.
We're still in the process of pulling all of that data and separating our Cambridge versus non-Cambridge with our honors versus non-honors students to really see if we can isolate that improvement. What I do feel is though, because 6th grade math did increase a little bit, I do think there is going to be, especially in that master's area, an attribute to our Cambridge program.
Thank you. Again, I think that falls under the heading of this is hard, and you're doing the right things. Yeah. The other thing was really kind of minor, and I don't know that we can really get into it much today, but stream of engineering beyond Earth. Of course, this is something that is near and dear to my heart, and maybe sometime in the future we could get a little more information on the S-Cube satellite, because I'm personally curious about that. And that's all I had.
Thank you, Trustee Larson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll put something in the Friday packet, just an update.
All right, I'll open it up. Anyone else? Go ahead, Trustee Kennedy.
Kind of echoing what Trustee Larson said, I'm interested to see as we adopt, Bluebonnet math. I really do think it's going to help when we look at those intermediate scores and how they were kind of flat. I think we're going to see an improvement, and I know already the work that has gone into, putting together some of the assessments and things of that nature, and just, getting everyone up to speed. Obviously, that's going to take a little bit of time, but I know that work is going to pay off, because you see how it paid off in the other subject areas. So tell them to keep their foot down on the pedal. Another thing, Dr. Moses or Franklin, since you mentioned Space Center Intermediate, I would like to see when we did that learning walk and we saw their goals, I would like to see that implemented in our other kind of, subject intermediates, that they have those goals. I think just accountability and being an ex-athlete, when you see your goals, every day, that helps you kind of reach for them and achieve them. So just to have those displayed, I think is another reason, especially when you go back to that slide and you see all of the areas that, Space Center is kind of touching on. I think that's one of the reasons why. So I'd like to see that at the other intermediates, because I think that'll help them. Slide 28, I'd like to follow up with our P-TECH students, because just to hear the enthusiasm, and I know Dr. Engel and I got to visit with, those students, or one of those students, and she was just, very excited about the program. So just, following up with those kids and seeing where they're at, like maybe, a year or two after they leave us would be interesting. VLI science, once again, 50 students. That's kind of what we envisioned when we talked about Vision 2030, is having each intermediate have their specific, subject matter, course or content area that they highlight. And so to see that they're already going for it just kind of speaks volumes. And just the 50 students already tells you that there's an interest and that's a need. Once again, Trustee Larson, that the first district to offer a college level credit for, something that Trustee Sanchez works in every day is phenomenal. And shame on us if we don't highlight that and sing that from the mountaintops, because that's that competitive advantage that our district has. Those are the partnerships, whether it's BAYEP, whether it's NASA. I'm trying to think of Trent Martin's company, Intuitive Machines, that we partner with, daily. So to not highlight that, we're doing ourselves an injustice. And then last, ClearTech. Just giving these online students access to our programs, once they realize that, it's going to exponentially grow. Just because of some of the things that we do that other districts don't do. So keep that up, and eventually they'll come. So.
Thanks, Trustee Cunningham. Go ahead.
I'll correct Trustee Cunningham. I think he said from the moon tops. I don't think he meant the mountain tops. I think he meant the moon tops. I know. Sometimes he needs help with his words. I'm also, I echo Trustee Larson and Trustee Cunningham. I'm excited to hear about all of this. I also think it's important for our community to know that these are giant leaps, if we're sticking with the words. These are giant leaps in a short period of time that we've taken with a level of intentionality, with a level of purpose and focus, and commitment to maintaining a standard that would continue attracting families to choose us. So we've talked a lot about the competitive landscape in education and the focus that we have on high quality, world-class public education, and the importance of remaining relevant while aligned with our required curriculum and relevant content, I think is something that's really woven throughout all of this. I think it highlights and reflects back to our families and to our community that we recognize that we won't make it through challenging times without staying really focused on the long game of making sure that our students are getting the best experience, the most relevant, the most exciting, the most interesting. And what I heard several of you all say throughout this update are the level of partners and interested supporters and stakeholders that will speak to ultimately the ultimate decision makers, our legislators, as they think about, are we letting things happen to us, or are we really taking this on and moving forward beyond the environment that we're in? So thank you for that. Thank you for bringing this update forward. And I don't have to say I have a strong bias towards things that would strength and interest in space exploration, human space exploration, and including the moon and beyond. So thank you for that. I did have a quick question about enrollment in ClearTech and the numbers. I know this is new for us, and I know we're taking steps to really make sure this is quality. When we look at the number of students applied, of those students, how many of those were already CCISD students that are choosing this path, that are interested, and how many are we capturing from outside of our current enrollment?
Around 30-ish that are CCISD students currently.
Okay. So the feedback will be great. It'll provide us some insight, both from their experience and how it compares to what.
And like Kelly alluded to, every student comes with a story,
Mm-hmm.
and there's different reasons that they were trying to go virtual. Anywhere from high level of sports participation to dance, cheer.
Your microphone.
Sorry. Just different levels, different stories that they come with. And then there's also, some of them have struggled in different ways. So there's just different stories that come with each family. And so that is one thing that Cynthia has done a really good job of figuring out what those stories are and getting to know those students and just helping them in different ways. And so it's been really interesting to learn about that and then able to share that and make sure that we're able to support them in different ways.
Yeah, thank you. I do think that as we've talked about the challenge around enrollment and the really the challenge we have around growth, being that we're mostly developed as far as from a residential perspective and all of the other demographics that we've looked at, when I think about probably one of the single greatest opportunities of reaching really beyond just our local community or even the surrounding neighborhoods and districts to us, I think is this virtual experience, this virtual education that really would mirror or reflect back to them a CCISD world-class education that provides it to them in a way that they're looking for. So getting that feedback probably continuously around each of their stories and how it is meeting what their needs were and what their expectations were will be really critical. But definitely I think there's so much potential down the road as we think about increasing numbers there. So thank you for that.
And I think just to, when Dr. Lopez was speaking on that virtual learning, I remembered it was either last week or the week before that Cynthia had spoken with 20 families, I think roughly. So like I said, I think once the word gets out and once people learn about the program, I think we're going to see that grow exponentially.
Thank you both. All right, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you. I mean, there are so many programs and opportunities that you guys have talked about today, and I think that just really shows we really are reaching everyone in our audience in CCISD and having something for everyone. Trustee Sanchez kind of brought up the Clear Tech, and that was actually my question too. And I love that, our original concern is maybe we were going to pull some of our kids that were already in our school district. And so seeing that those numbers are much more coming from outside, I think that is a win-win for everyone. And like they said, I think once people start hearing about it, I really think that will grow exponentially. And I think that's great to be able to offer what we have to other students that are, maybe a little outside of our area. My only other question for P-TECH, for the students that aren't selected, look like there are about 80. What opportunities or classes do we have for those kids to still keep them interested if they weren't selected in that cohort group for the 28 that were selected?
There are other CTE programs on each campus that kind of reflect health science. There's many pathways through dentistry, through patient care technician, other things like that they can go towards. In years past, we have brought in sophomores to fill in open spots in our early college. We'll be considering that this year with P-TECH just to kind of see how that goes. Again, that first year is a lot of just high school courses with one college class, and so we're able to catch those up. P-TECH being kind of a specialized area, it's a little more difficult, a little more challenging, but certainly those students have an opportunity within their own campus to explore other CT pathways as far as health science goes.
And I do know, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've reached out to some other, local community colleges to see if they had some space for our students. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say through our P-TECH program, but I know Christina and Sharon here have been working with dual credit opportunities.
All right, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to show you how powerful Vision 2030 was and all the work that we've done at the intermediate between stream and launch. I want to read this to you. The Texas legislators' interim charges direct committees to study specific policy topics between legislative sessions. For intermediate and middle schools, the House Public Education Committee is specifically tasked with reviewing strategies to prepare students for high school success, boosting student engagement, expanding career exploration opportunities, and reviewing the effectiveness of advanced coursework and academic supports. It sounds like we are way ahead of the game, and we could probably testify at one of their hearings.
So I heard a nomination for Jameson to go to Austin.
So move.
Yeah. No, you volunteered. You volunteered. Yeah, there's a second. You had me at Arby's. No, I'm joking. I'm telling you, it's dinner time, right? Let's find another acronym next time. No. But yeah, ditto to everything that they've said. I did have some of the similar questions about Cambridge and P-TECH. But, all in all, thank you. Thank you for helping me put faith in trusting the process. Again, this is something that we had conversations back 4 years ago. And, I could go through all of the little nuts and bolts and everything, but, y'all are providing those opportunities. And it's been a process. We were considering things in the 23 bond that we said not till ... happens, and it's happening. And I love the attention into the intermediate schools, because that was an area that we really emphasized 3 or 4 years ago, saying let's do more. How can we do it? And y'all have come up with a plan and elevating that intermediate experience. The part of me is just saying proceed with caution is you've got quantity and then you've got quality. And there's a quantity. There's so many opportunities that we're putting out there, and which is great. We're in an environment where competition's kind of leading the way, competing with, whether it's vouchers and private schools and things like that. But we can only control us and our actions and our district. And the number of opportunities that we're providing our students is by far superior to any other district around. But just as the fidelity factor, the quality of each one of these things, I just hope that as we all go forward, we just keep that in mind, because we want to make sure that people go away saying, man, not only did they do this, and my kid learned about drones, but man, it was a great class, and we're taking it to the next level, and given all of those opportunities, for future workforce, and we listen, we as a team, we listen, and y'all make it happen. So yeah, I really don't have any questions. It was just, thank y'all, and this is putting it all in motion, so it means a lot. With that, we want to go on?
We have one more goal, and we just have one strategy that we'll talk about, and you perfectly teed that up in all fairness, because with all of this, that the third goal is that organizational stewardship and making sure that everything is done with fidelity, everything is done in alignment with our fiscal and all other facility responsibilities, and that'll be a big piece of our work. You'll notice that this is not completely done. Most of what those other goals were completed. We're about halfway completed on these, and the reason is it's a big part of our work for this coming up year. So I'll go ahead and turn that over first of all to the timeline optimization on campus utilization.
Milestones that we anticipate. We have a very winding timeline that has many other milestones, but so the strategic budget team is formed and they will meet as early as next week. And so we're looking forward to having their input, and these are members of our community that are engaged in the district in one way or another. So they have some schema of our history and certainly understand a little bit more about school finance. And then we have our demographic report, which Ms. Benzai will have to you in July. Facility condition index and rubric in August from Paul Miller. And then the lion's share of the work that we are probably embarking on is, which will begin this fall and will continue on for a year. And that is really the community building side of what we do very well. So there really will be a great opportunity to get our community more informed and engaged to the challenges that we're facing and what solutions they can help provide to us. And then in the fall of 2028, assuming that there's recommendations and pieces that'll come out, those will be implemented in the 28-29 school year. And then you'll see in the fall of 2028, a potential facility advisory committee would be formed for a potential May 2029 bond election. So that's sort of the big picture of where we feel like we might be going. And then also we've been really excited about our district strategy over the past year for open enrollment. And we have done, we've done a lot of marketing about CCISD, even though like our intent was to increase student enrollment. It is really, this byproduct is getting a wider awareness of the world-class programs and opportunities that we do offer. We've had webinars, open houses, and the specialized website and lots of marketing and advertising. And it resulted in 959 out-of-district applications, new and renewal. 650 met our criteria, which is good grades, good discipline, good attendance. So they had to meet that criteria to be offered a seat. And this is really our first year of doing this. So we have 106 new out-of-district students that will be attending Clear Creek ISD in the fall. With the use of Schoolment, as seats open, those that are on the waiting list will automatically move up. So there's really, you'll see that number grow once we start seeing who comes back from that roll up, or if they've moved, the seat opens up because we've staffed for them. So those numbers we'll continue to monitor.
So I will jump on the establishing of the facility condition index. This has been a pretty heavy lift for Alex and our facilities team that they've been working on for quite some time now. It involves district staff from maintenance and technology and really making sure that they're capturing all the information that they need, incorporating architects and engineers. They've walked every site to identify every major system and major piece of equipment. Then establishing condition and life cycles was the next step of that. That's including tens of thousands of individual components and systems and across our entire district. That information has been documented in our Brightly software so that we can better manage looking forward and keep track of all that information. It's interesting that information includes manufacturer, model number, capacity, all this information, and ultimately we'll incorporate barcoding so that our maintenance team can just take their phone and snap a picture of it and use the Brightly software. So all of this is integrating in with our longer range plans on how we can be more effective and efficient. What they're currently working on now is estimating and validating long-term costs. As you can imagine, that's a lot of data to really dig into and review. They've identified issues they didn't understand, so they're having to go back and correct some things. So that's really what we had anticipated. It will really inform our future capital replacement information as well as we move forward. As Elena mentioned, August is our target date for providing that data to the board. We are on target for getting that completed, but work continues on that to make sure that it's accurate and includes all possible information.
And we provided updates along the way regarding the TASB study, staffing study, as well as the special education staffing study. And of course, we've made some changes, quite a few. Dr. Stallings mentioned, of course, the instructional coach change to specialists, et cetera. So lots of conversations, lots of heavy lifting with many people in this room and many people who are not. So certainly want to thank them as we are attempting to make all of these moonshots, but in a much more efficient way. But as a result of the staffing studies and the efficiencies that have been made, we were able to reduce 69 FTEs at this point for the 26-27 school year.
So let's see. Provide recommendations for adoption of a balanced 26-27 budget by May 2026. That is in progress. As Ms. Polson mentioned, we are going to be pulling together our strategic budget team next week, and the purpose of that team is for them to look at the financial challenges that we've had that are associated with declining revenue and increased operating costs resulting from our declining enrollment, impacts of inflation, and then compensation benefits increased pressure. So they will be providing, we will be giving them a lot of data, looking at our enrollment. Unfortunately, we won't have our demographic report yet, but we do have some historical data that we will share with them. We will look at revenue optimization opportunities that are out there. We will look at staffing optimization opportunities, and then facility utilization as well. So with that, then we will hope to get recommendations from the team to the board after they are able to analyze all of this data. And it will be a pretty quick moving team. We have a day and a half with them, but we're excited about that opportunity to get the feedback.
And I'm going to ask our TIA expert, who is sitting quietly for our last slide, to share a little bit of update on the teacher incentive allotment, which we are going to a conference this week.
Absolutely.
Yes, she's leading the way on that.
Thank you. So we have had a dedicated committee that has been working throughout the year. We've given you updates throughout this year on all of that, but this work would not be possible without all of their input. The time commitment from the teachers and administrators who participated on that committee, both from the campus level as well as the district level. And so we were proud to announce that in April we did submit our application for the teacher incentive allotment for Clear Creek ISD, and we've recently received confirmation that the application has been accepted. Yay! So the work begins, and we were anticipating all of that. In fact, all of our administrators from the intermediate level, including the deans, assistant principals, and principals, were all a part of a T-test calibration session that was supported by Region 4 ESC. And so we have already begun the work, and we were anticipating that acceptance, so we're proud that we received that actually on the day that they were all together receiving that training. So now the work begins. The data collection begins for the 26-27 school year, which does involve calibration activities for all of our intermediate administrators. We will be including all administrators in those activities because we know that as we begin to expand our system, it will be important for them to be aware and important of that, to be a part of that important work.
And that concludes goal 3.
Thank you. All right, I'll open up goal 3. Trustees. Questions, comments? Nope. Go ahead.
Paul, I'm interested to see what that facility condition index looks like. And I've said it before in some of our discussions, but the timeline for that May 2029 bond, we may have to accelerate that, whether that's incorporated with, a Vader and a bond, et cetera. So I'm real interested on that in that demographic study. Also, thank you, Dr. Moses, for the heavy lifting on the, teacher incentive allotment. It's tough work, but, digging in to get some of those additional dollars that, in grants that our teachers, can have access to is very important. So thank you for that. And Dr. Branch, that 69 FTEs, that's roughly about 4.85 million, roughly. Okay, yeah, just wanted to verbalize that. So thank you, because I know that's not easy, but as we go forward, that's what we have to keep in mind. So thank you.
Thanks, Trustee Cunningham. Go ahead.
I'll just add, Dr. Branch, I would ask, and I think you all will do this automatically, but I know we're looking for savings and efficiencies across the board. I do think it's important for us to closely monitor those decisions as it relates to special education and as we think about places where there could be some unintended consequences. So in our effort to streamline and define efficiencies, that where we may be mixing students who require different services and different supports and different levels of attention and staffing, that we don't unintentionally put our staffing units in a position where it's a more challenging, maybe sometimes not safe environment, and it's not ultimately the most beneficial to our students that really need the most. And so just as closely as we can monitor that and as we think about what that looks like, hopefully it's not something we would go through for an entire academic year before we could make some corrections. But I had some different questions posed to me, and I know we're all looking for efficiencies, but as we think about the intentionality that we do things, that we're also open to just considering, is this really what we were looking for? Is this really what we intended? And how can we make sure we're monitoring that closely? So I think people will do that automatically, but just wanting to make sure we're keeping that in mind.
Thanks, Trustee Sanchez. All right, open up. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Yeah, if you could clarify how many of those 69 FTEs were from special ed and how many of them were for general ed?
Do so many things, and so that was front of mind with Dr. Staley and her team in making sure that we meet those efficiencies, but yet at the same time meet student needs.
Yeah, given Trustee Sanchez's concerns, I just wanted to make sure that people didn't think all 69 came from special ed.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
The other thing, one thing what we can do too is kind of give a little bit of a breakdown too on that, some more information, and to how many of those were classroom related versus district related, and so trying to repurpose some things as we keep doing. So we can,
Yeah, I think we've been provided that, but just on that slide, it made it look like, so you just want to make sure that people don't think, it was 69 positions all in special ed, especially after what Mr. Sanchez, voiced concern over.
All right.
And we are going to get an update, right, on SPED soon?
Yeah, and clarifying just in general on special ed, or?
And I thought I remembered, like coming up in July or August, we were going to get an update on SPED maybe, or maybe I'm just.
Well, we're constantly looking at that, and we usually this time of the year, we're looking at positions and do we need to add that. That is very traditional. I don't know that we're looking at adding any right now, but normally we do. You're correct.
Able to make additional requests based on those needs, and with all the work that has been done with staffing with SPED, we don't foresee that we're needing to make those requests at this time.
But it doesn't mean we can definitely do some type of a highlight spotlight on special education.
Mr. Miller, so the facility condition index, I remember, I think it was about a year ago that we were having conversations about it would be nice if we really just did a district-wide audit on all the condition of all the things, right? Everything.
Right.
There was a contract that was about $600,000 that was awarded. That's part of this, right? This is.
It is.
It's all part of getting the data and the dates, and so that long-range planning. I mean, that's the end game of.
Yeah, it's going to allow us to do a much better job of estimating long-term costs by year.
Right.
So we could kind of project out what we think we would have to spend in the next 5, 10, all the different.
Yeah.
Based on the age and life cycle of each.
Yeah.
Of each individual piece of equipment.
Yeah. So this is all part of that, contract that was awarded to get all this information together.
Right.
And then timing wise, so we've got that's goal to be ready by the end of the summer. The facility utilization, when are we thinking we're going to get that report? Like,
you mean the actual data that's going to be utilized and incorporated into the Beyond Boundaries work that we're doing beginning in the fall? As you know, that facility condition index is one component of an overall evaluation of facility utilization. So that's one of the things we can provide you in August once we have the data.
And then with the demographers report, when are we supposed to be getting the next one?
July.
July. Okay.
And we'll present this information as far as the FCI goes at the August board meeting. There'll be some other things that we'll incorporate into that. The FCI is a unique index. We're going to provide more information than that. It'll include some of our long-term estimates based on the types of items we'll need to do over the years.
Yeah, it just goes to one of our major, talking, discussion items with regards to the district being, loss of enrollment, certain age and infrastructure. We need a new school over here, but we don't need one, it's all that. And so all of that kind of all comes together, and being presented at one meeting is going to be a lot of information.
Especially in August.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, go ahead.
Just one quick thing. Dr. Engel, it strikes me that as we listen to just the complete update and progress that's been made, that these things don't happen without someone in a leadership position that is providing that clarity and that autonomy and that support to a team that's here working on it every single day. So I just wanted to say thank you to you. I know that the amount of work and time that is invested beyond words on a PowerPoint slide or beyond a strategy that we craft, over the course of a few hours, the real work comes in living it every single day and bringing people back to each of these strategies and each of these goals that allow us to remain focused where it would be easy to lose sight of that. And so I can't even imagine what it takes that you do every single day to really support the team. And so I just wanted to make sure that in addition to thanking everybody here, that you also receive that recognition and thank you. And I think it's a reason that you will continue to lead us forward, and others will recognize that as we enter a legislative session. So thank you for that.
And I'm,
Thank you.
I'm just going to say kudos to Greta for keeping Dr. Engel like.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else on information discussion that y'all want to bring up?
No, I do just want to reiterate, this is, it's hopefully the visual of the team, and there's so many other people that are not in this room and around this table. We couldn't fit anymore. But, and Dustin's back there keeping it all going. But, really, it is such a team. I mean, and so really thank everybody, and we appreciate the leadership from the board, because we know there's a lot that everyone's navigating, so very grateful. So thank you.
Oh, go ahead. One more.
And I just wanted to reiterate once again that this is how our retreats used to be. Each department would kind of report out their year in and kind of their goals for the upcoming year. So thank you for everyone who, contributed to the year-end goals and presented today, because it's refreshing from a board perspective to hear from each and every one of you on just kind of your snapshot, and it just gives us a feel for how your year went, what you were doing, things of that nature. Once again, it's a lot. It doesn't seem like it, but you guys make it look so seamless and so easy. But whether it's raising meets, 5 points, going from an 83 to an 88, it's not easy, but you guys make it look easy. And so that's the recognition that you guys are the subject matter experts, good at what you do, know what you're doing, and we just have faith in you guys. So thank you.
Very well said. Thank you. Okay, and thank you all. Thank you all for your presentations and updates. So at this time, it is 6:36. The board will now move to a closed session as authorized by the Texas Open Meeting Act concerning purposes permitted by the specific Texas Government Code sections listed on the agenda. All right, it's 6:51. Call this meeting back to order. Do we have a motion?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move that the board approves the superintendent's recommendation of intermediate school principal, Ms. Vanessa Reyes.
Thanks, Trustee Kenningham. And I've got the motion on the floor. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. And no opposed. Thank you very much. And would you like to elaborate? Yep.
Yeah, yes, we're very grateful. Ms. Reyes is currently an assistant principal at Clear Springs High School, but she did come to our district with experience from a neighboring district as an assistant principal, a principal. She's been a professional learning communities consultant, and both a principal at an intermediate and high school. So we're very excited about bringing her on board to Creekside.
Thank you, Dr. Engel. All right, and with that, it's 6:52. The meeting is adjourned.